At least 4 people die in a boat accident at Nagda in Lalitpur district. The government invites agitating NTVN for talks. Prime Minister and Maoist chairman eyeing a proposal for peace against Congress's call for consensus government. And the US stops recognizing Libya's National Transitional Council as the country's legitimate government. Good morning and welcome to Nepal Television. I'm Lakshmi Poon. On to details now. 4 people died when 2 boats collided with each other at Nagdaha in Dhapakher, Lalitpur district yesterday evening. The accident occurred when passengers in one boat that was sipping in the water tried to jump into another nearby. The dead have been identified as Milan Basnet, Srijana Karki, Shyam Kumar and Rajkumar Thapa of Nagdunga, Thankot. They were to attend a marriage ceremony and had been for a boat ride. There were 10 people in 2 boats while 4 of them swam to safety. 2 of the injured are said to be serious and are undergoing treatment at Patan Hospital. The government has invited agitating Nepal Federation of Indigenous Nationalities for talks. The government has formed a 3-member panel to negotiate with NTVN. Ministers Ghanshyam Bhushal, Hari Narayan Yadav and Vishwanath Shah are in the panel. The cabinet meeting also approved the report of the high-level committee to overhaul Nepal Oil Corporation. The meeting immediately directed the ministry concerned to implement the recommendation. A committee has been formed to monitor the progress under the Chief Secretary. The cabinet in another decision waived off $25,000 royalty which was due from Shailendra Kumar Upadhyay, who died during expedition to Mount Everest. Prime Minister Jhalanath Khanal and Unified Maoist Chairman Pushpakamal Dahal have agreed to bring a concrete proposal to address the pending issues in the peace process. The meeting at Chairman Prachanda's residence in Naya Bazar comes a day after the Constitution Amendment Bill was tabled. Prime Minister's press advisor Surya Thapa said the meeting centered on modality for the integration and rehabilitation of former Maoist combatants. Well, it's time to take a break. Do stay with us for more news. Welcome back to Nepal Television. President of Nepali Congress Sushil Koirala says his party is not in favour of injecting new life to Constituent Assembly. Koirala said the proposal without the consent of the main opposition has widened the gap between the ruling and the opposition parties. Talking to reporters at his residence, Koirala stressed formation of national consensus government before extending Constituent Assembly's tenure.
माओवादी जिम्मेदार हुनुपर्छ इमानदार हुनुपर्छ अब जो इमानदारी जाने रहेन त्यो जिम्मेदारी जाने रहेन भने चाहिँ जे खाली उहाँहरूले लम्बाउने कुरा सुव्यक्ति गर्नु कतिसम्म दबाएर जाने आज नेपालजीले प्रधानमन्त्रीबाट राजीनामा गर्ने 5 दिनमा म टुङ्गाइदिन्छु पिस प्रोसेस पनि टुङ्गिन्छ हतियारको पनि टुङ्गो लाग्छ उसको पनि टुङ्गो लाग्छ यो के संविधान पनि टुङ्गो लाग्छ भनेर भन्छ होइन.
Earlier, Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister Bharat Mohan Adhikari met with Koirala. Adhikari reportedly sought Nepali Congress's support to help pass the CS term extension proposal. After the meeting, Deputy Prime Minister Adhikari said he also discussed about the upcoming budget with Koirala. Koirala is said to have urged Adhikari to come up with a clear roadmap to ensure the completion of the new constitution within the extended time frame. CP and UML leader Madhav Kumar Nepal says it will be futile to extend the CS tenure without ensuring the success of the peace process and new constitution. The former Prime Minister was speaking after inaugurating party's office building in Okhaldunga yesterday. He said it is not the time constraint but the leader's apathy that has delayed constitution writing.
सुरक्षाको लुचासुलीमा लागेर वास्तवमा संविधानको कामलाई पूरा गर्न नसकेको।
Addressing the same program, Party General Secretary Ishwar Pokhrel and Defence Minister Vishnu Paudel said UML will not compromise on establishing peace and writing a democratic constitution. Leader of Joint Democratic Madhesi Front Rajendra Mahato says Constituent Assembly's tenure should not be extended at status quo. Mahato said adding to the tenure will be meaningless as there has been no progress in the peace process and constitution writing. He said the front will not accept if the tenure is extended without consensus. Talking to reporters in the capital, Mahato said Maoists should hand over their arms to the government and turn into a civilian party before May 28.
यो संविधान निर्माण हुने नै भयो त्यो अनुभूति र विश्वास हुने गरी काम कुरा जे 14 गते पूर्व गर्यो भने मात्रै संविधान सभाको म्याद थप्नुहुन्छ अन्यथा
Here we take another break. Do stay with us for more news. Thank you for joining us again. Amnesty International says Nepal has been unable to fully implement the commitments it made in international forums. A report published yesterday by Amnesty International on the state of human rights in Nepal paints the picture. The report says Major Niranjan Basneth, who is accused of murdering Maina Sunuwar, should be tried in civil court. Amnesty has renewed its call on the government to form Truth and Reconciliation Commission for the disappeared as soon as possible. The report explicitly says people involved in murder and kidnapping should not hold any public position. The report says state of press freedom and human rights in South Asia is not satisfactory. The US has stopped short of recognizing Libya's National Transitional Council as the country's legitimate government. The statement comes after the first visit to the White House by a senior member of the rebel council, which is pushing for international support. Earlier, Colonel Muammar Gaddafi taunted NATO troops in an audio message on state TV, saying he is at a place where they cannot reach him. State media says 11 Muslim clerics have been killed in a NATO air strike. Mohammad Jibril, deputy leader of Benghazi-based National Transitional Council, met officials at the White House on Friday, including National Security Advisor Tom Denolian. Here we take another break. To stay with us for more international news. On to the rest of the international news. The Pakistani Taliban has claimed responsibility for the suicide attacks in a military training facility in the northwest, saying they were in retaliation for the killing of Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden. Twin bomb blasts targeting a paramilitary training center in northwest Pakistan have killed at least 80 people and wounded at least 106 others. Nearly all of the killed were military recruits who had just completed their training. Police officials said the attack in Charsadda district appeared to be the work of two suicide bombers, though there was a possibility of the second bomb being planted. The second explosion took place about 8 minutes later, killing and wounding many of those who had rushed to the aid of the victims of the first blast. The attackers were riding motorbikes. The human rights activists say at least 6 people have been killed as thousands attended anti-government protests across Syria after Friday prayers. 3 died in the country's third largest city, Homs, where security forces opened fire on demonstrators. 2 were killed in a northern suburb of the capital, Damascus, and another died in a village near Deira in the south. Earlier, an opposition leader said President Bashar al-Assad had promised troops wounded not fire on protesters. Lau al-Hussein was quoting a presidential advisor, Buthaina Saban, after talks with officials to negotiate an end to the crisis. A man has allegedly attacked and beheaded a British woman randomly in a supermarket on the Spanish resort island of Tenerife and the Canary Islands. The suspect, believed to be a homeless Bulgarian man with a police record, was detained by security guards after he allegedly ran out of the supermarket with a blood-soaked head in his hands. Witnesses said the scene was bone-chilling. In London, Britain's Foreign Office confirmed the victim was a UK national, saying they were seeking further information. Regional Interior Minister delegates Dominica Fernandez said the suspect is believed to have entered the shop and beheaded the woman, whose identity hasn't been released. With these international updates, it's time to move on to business.
Import of goods from Rani Customs Point in Biratnagar has been affected for over a week now owing to the valuation row of Indian goods. The Customs Office has introduced a new valuation procedure after rampant tax evasion from importers with under-invoicing. In protest, importers have halted their business since the new procedure has been implemented. However, import is expected to smoothen now as Customs Division has directed to use earlier DPR to raw materials imported from India. But in case of the trading goods, either cost sheet for MRP has to be declared. Biratnagar Customs Office said soon after the new system, traders have already started importing goods. The Customs Office said everyday loss due to the obstruction stands at 31.7 million rupees. The religious site of Swargadwari in Bhutan is seeing heightened tourist activities with the approaching season. Religious tourists from across the country and India throng the place to pay homage. The place is crowded, especially during Dasai and Maghe Sankranti. Our local correspondent says lodges and hotels are remaining fully occupied and are struggling to manage the ever-increasing tourists. Locals say up to 1 million people visit Swargadwari temple every year.
Well, that was BS News. On to sports updates now. New entrant in the national cricket structure, region number 7, Janakpur, has lashed out at the Cricket Association of Nepal for being biased. Organizing a press conference yesterday, Janakpur players and officials said they will boycott the upcoming 2020 nationals unless CAN concedes a mistake. They blamed the umpires were pressurized by CAN officials to conduct the match at Pulchok ground Thursday despite unplayable condition. The umpires had conducted the final league match between Armed Police Force and Region number 4 Bhairava after both the skippers agreed to play in compromising condition. Janakpur skipper Kumar Prasoon claimed the match should have been called off, in which case his team would have made it to the final on points. He also said that allowing APF personnel to work in the ground only for that match was not fair, as some other matches were also washed out due to rain. On to weather forecast now. Forecasting division says temporary thunder showers is likely to occur at 1 or 2 places in the eastern region and partly cloudy in the rest. And now, before we say goodbye, let's move to the top stories making headlines today. Four people die in a boat accident at Nagdaha in Lalitpur district. The government invites agitating Nephin for talks. Prime Minister and Mao's chairman eyeing a proposal for peace against Congress's calls for consensus government. And the US stops recognizing Libya's National Transitional Council as the country's legitimate government. Well, that's all for now. We have our next English bulletin at 12 noon. Keep watching Nepal television. Namaste.